Hey everyone, we are live today from the Microsoft AI Tour with UiPath and diving into all things financial services and beyond. Amit, how are you?
I'm doing great. Evan, how are you?
I'm doing well. Always intrigued by what you guys at UiPath are up to in different industries and verticals. Before that, maybe introduce yourself for those who don't know UiPath. Let's give an updated intro as well.
Sure. So UiPath, essentially, we are on a mission to automate all the business processes in an enterprise. And we have been on this mission for last 15 plus years. And in the most recent avatar, we are using what we call as the new frontier of automation, agentic automation, to redefine financial services inside out. My role is quite special here at UiPath. I am the industry practice lead for financial services, essentially talking to some of our largest, most strategic clients in terms of what UiPath can do for this industry. So that's my role. Just
Well, exciting times, and what a industry undergoing so much change and disruption and opportunity. Maybe set the scene. What brings you to the Microsoft AI tour? What's the big idea, and why is UiPath there exactly?
yeah. So first of all, we are a strategic partner with Microsoft. We do a lot of work, given the fact that Microsoft is almost ubiquitous as far as financial services ecosystem is concerned, whether it is on the cloud or on some systems of record like Dynamics. We work very closely with them, given the fact that our automations run on top of some of the Microsoft stack and applications. What brings us to Microsoft AI Tour is, as you can see, we are at a almost like a inflection point as far as AI adoption in financial services is concerned. So we couldn't think of a better stage to talk about what is the small role that UiPath can play in this area. And there are a lot of financial services leaders here who we are meeting today, and hopefully we'll continue the dialogue with them.
Fantastic. So tell us, there are so many use cases and uh, opportunities in finance for agentic AI and automation. What are some of the top use cases that are being discussed? Care to share any view of what's top of mind to financial services leaders at the moment?
Absolutely. And I think it's a very target rich environment. If you look at any financial services operations, whether it is on the bank, capital markets side, wealth management, all the operations areas are up for grabs. But I tend to divide that entire landscape into four pillars. One is how agentic AI can help you streamline your complex journeys. Some of the use cases could be client onboarding for commercial banking or mortgage origination for consumer banks. Second area could be customer servicing. There are thousands and thousands of contact center agents. Customers also reach out to these banks through chats, through emails. Using agentic AI in some of those channels is, I would say, the second pillar of that puzzle. The third is, these are the banks are highly regulated, and hence they also are prone to a lot of losses through penalties. Plus, you add financial crime as an area. That's yet another use case theme. And lastly, but not the least, employee productivity. Banks are on a almost like a war as far as fighting the manual and drudgery that individual employees do in a typical operations. That's where we are focused on.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. A lot of opportunity there. Well, let's touch on something that's really hot topic these days: ensuring regulatory compliance, know your customer, and anti-money laundering rules and risk assessment. So many changes on the regulatory front globally. Not just here in the U.S. How do you see UiPath's role there, and what superpowers can you give these financial institutions?
I tend to see, and it's a trifecta of all the three, which is operational efficiency, client experience, as well as regulatory compliance. So let's look at client onboarding as a use case. It's a highly convoluted, multiple teams working together, multiple applications, systems, takes 30, 40 days for a typical commercial bank to onboard a corporate client. A very, very great use case, so to say, to apply a combination of both automation as well as AI. I'll talk about three aspects as far as this end-to-end journey is concerned. One is even today in 2025, end of January, we're talking about a lot of complex documents that still are part of this process tree. These commercial clients provide articles of incorporation, universal beneficial ownership information, control information, and that's where UiPath can help unclog a part of that particular process. Wherein, how do we get the data out of these completely unstructured documents? Second is emails and other client communications. KYC is highly collaborative. There are emails going up, back and forth in all kind of directions, and operations teams struggle a lot. That's where AI can help a lot in terms of both inferring the intent of these emails and communications and performing the auto routing and extraction of information from these client communication. Last but not the least is even today, you will find that the KYC and the onboarding teams are doing a lot of analysis. They have to look at checklists. They have to look at standard operating procedures to figure out what to do with the client onboarding case. And that's where agentic AI can play a role because now you have the power of an AI powered entity like an agent, which can seek its own path. It has agency to perform autonomous research and analysis and take decisions. It's exciting time. So I would say those are the three big opportunities in client onboarding.
Fantastic. So, as you know, we're in this year of doing more with less across all industries, but nowhere more than financial services. Everyone's looking at the bottom line and looking for ROI on their investments. How do you see that balance with cutting costs and automation with the upside of productivity and doing more with employees? What are your customers telling you about how they see 2025?
I think it is spot on. So we see the business case for agentic automation being threefold. Uh, the first and foremost is banks have realized that the real business value is the one which is all about the clients and their customers. So again, in the parlance of client onboarding, it's about how many days do you take to onboard a client? And studies have shown that the banks that take least amount of time to onboard are the ones who are taking away most of the margins and most of the customer and market share. Operational efficiencies are clearly an important aspect because we are living in a high interest rate, higher for longer environment where there is a lot of pressure on interest rate, margins and hence pressure on the bottom line. Clearly, efficiencies cannot happen unless you automate end-to-end process, and that's where I think AI, especially the agentic automation, will play a big role. And lastly, but not the least, nobody wants to be dinged by OCC and Fed and other regulators and fined hundreds of millions of dollars. There is a lot of opportunity to put in those controls to avoid difficult discussions with regulators and examiners and external auditors, so to say. So I would say it's a very multifaceted business case that has emerged for these banks and financial services firms. And client onboarding and KYC are clearly one of the key, sort of couple of key use cases.
Brilliant. So, as you know better than I, this industry has a lot of history, technical debt. We sort of sometimes call it legacy systems. How do you think about innovation without disruption to those legacy systems and overhaul that can be very expensive? How do you approach a new customer, a new engagement?
100%. And I tend to argue the fact that these legacy applications, to be fair, have done really well. They have been able
Mm.
to withstand the increasing transaction load, they have been very, very stable. And that's what banks need. They want some of their core applications to give that kind of stability. They cannot afford downtime. And at the same time, they're also a reflection of the fact that the application landscape in financial services is highly siloed. A typical large bank will have not hundreds, but thousands of applications. I think it basically merits a strong push for automation layer on top of these applications rather than thinking about innovation in terms of years, wherein you will uproot some of these core applications and rethink, reimagine ground up, which is not the luxury that these large banks have. Idea would be to stitch together what we call as agentic orchestration, in which agents, humans, and our robots are working together on top of these siloed and complex landscape to complete the process. While these applications will continue to be, they continue to evolve and innovate at the pace which makes sense from a bottom line perspective. A lot can be done in the interim using agentic automation.
Brilliant. So the big theme of this year is also enhancing customer service, customer experience in general. I know a lot of companies and contact centers that are leveraging UI for that over the years for automation, but I think you're looking to do more. How do you see yourself being able to give superpowers to those contact center workers and the back office folks who are pretty overloaded and kind of stressed out these days?
To say the least. And we thought contact center are going to disappear after 2020, which actually on the it's completely flipped on its face. I would say that it, there have been three stages of evolution for customer servicing. I think that at the first stage, uh, we believe our RPA and attended automations help these contact center agents to kick off and trigger processes while they were on the calls. And I think that alleviated a certain part of the call duration. It helped them take more calls. The second part of that evolution was when these automations were given powers of enterprise AI. So, for instance, a customer servicing agent or a customer operations person who is working with emails, and they are inundated with incoming emails and chat messages. Using something like communications mining and document understanding helped them digest, extract, infer, and reason out those communications. But at the same time, there was still a lot of opportunity left with which continued to be manual, which was in the area of judgment, reasoning, analysis, research. And that's where agents will help. So agents and AI agents, along with customer services agents, working together to help resolve a customer problem is something that we believe is the next frontier for for this particular function, and then there are a lot of pragmatic use cases that are coming up in these channels.
Yeah, brilliant approach. So tell us about the Microsoft partnership. You guys are making a lot of waves, and Microsoft, of course, is on fire these days. What do you anticipate as far as the partnership for 2025?
Absolutely. So there are multiple facets. Of course, we work closely with them as far as this vertical is concerned, but from the product offerings, as I said, right, I mean, we are complementary to their services. They own some of the data, infrastructure, and application stack, and automation runs on top of it. Another aspect of our partnership is going to be, as you know, Copilot is being advocated and evangelized and adopted by many of these institutions. And what we have come up with is that while these firms will have a Copilot interface, they will have ability to work with our automations within that particular environment itself. It makes it frictionless, streamlined for these financial institutions to kick off and trigger automations at the back end. And as you know, again, we are not a large language model
Mhm.
provider. We are agnostic of it. Another view is, of course, using OpenAI models for for the LLM part, whether it is our autopilot or whether it is our agent builder capability. So there are many, many facets of partnership, but yeah, these are a few that I could rattle at the top of mind.
Well, sounds like a win-win and win for customers. So good stuff. What's next? You're finishing up the roadshow here, onwards and upwards. Where are you off to next?
Well, first of all, in about an hour or so, we will be presenting this in action to financial services leaders here at Microsoft AI2. That's where we are focused on. We have our own sales kickoff in a couple of weeks, and then back on the road meeting clients. That's my usual day job.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, taking time away to share the mission and vision, and really exciting. Can't wait to see it unfold.
Really appreciate Evan for this opportunity.
Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for listening, watching, and sharing. Take care, Amit.